Well, it's Mondays, but as I usually say, Mondays are the most boring days starting the week. Makes me feel kind of lazy. But however, here on our Mondays on DWZ, we decide to keep your Mondays very fun and exciting. So today, if you guys are big fans of the Japanese wrestling scene, you're in luck. This is what it's all about, baby. It's all about the Japanese wrestling scene. The first thing we're going to be reviewing is from GLEAT with their latest show that was produced by none other than the faction STRONGHEARTS, calling it Action Daimao. Hopefully, I pronounced it right. This originally happened on the 14th of April, but it wasn't uploaded on their YouTube channel until the 19th of April. Then we move on, of course, with Stardom in Osaka. This is only a week prior before their upcoming All Star Grand Queendom. But this one features a championship match, features Crazy Star, Zuzu Suzuki, and Mai Sita defending their tag titles against Zuzu's old pals, Risa Sera and Kurumi Hirage. So we'll see how that rolls up. Then we move on with New Japan Pro Wrestling. As you know, they has begun the road to Wrestling Dondaku. We are going to see some interesting matches, including feuds, especially with the War Dogs taking on LIJ in every way possible. Then there is a faction warfare gauntlet match between just five guys and the United Empire. However, this will put the United Empire to the test ever since Will Ospreay left to AEW. Then we cap it up with some news updates to tell you guys what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events are happening, who's booked, what matches are set, and of course, some developments in the world of pro wrestling. And of course, apparently there was another name that was mentioned on the day that WWE wrestlers were released. This one was a name I did not expect, but it happened. But the obvious question we'll ask ourselves later, is this over? Well, we won't know. But as of right now, let's get started with the latest deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, Shirad here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. We also do real-time news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened in the world of pro wrestling that needs to be announced ASAP. We also do, of course, the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions are set aside. It's time for me to shut up and get this show on the road with our very first review. And this is from all the Japanese promotions we can find. Today we're doing three. The first one is none other than GLEAT. Okay, our first review. This is from the promotion GLEAT, and this is in fact a produced show by the faction known as STRONGHEARTS, led by Shima El Lindaman, and T-Hawk. And the event is called Action Daimao. Hopefully I pronounced it right. And this originally took place on the 14th of April, but it wasn't uploaded on their YouTube channel until the 19th. So it opened up with, of course, with members of Strong Hearts being in the ring, giving a promo. We did see Shigehiro Irie dressed in a girly outfit. Now, don't ask me why, but I'll get to that in a bit because I think this is one of the most funnest matches I've ever watched. But we'll get to that. Anyway, let's begin with our very first match. We have the young boy named Go Miyaki taking on Hayata Tamura. Now, Go Miyaki has come out of the GLEAT dojo. Hopefully, that's what was going on. But one thing that was very certain, I had a feeling that this match was going to end with, of course, Tamura picking up the win, which he did with the Boston Crab, which is very common with experienced wrestlers to do that to the young boys. We've seen that, of course, in Noah. We've seen that in New Japan and various other locations. But pretty much that's how it ends. Now, our next match, we have tag team action. We got Koji Iwamoto and Seichi Ikimoto taking on the members of the Black Generation International, consisting of the newest member, Tetsuya Izushi, and Kaito Ishida. Now, it was very unusual that Izushi somehow decided to embrace the BGI way. But I know in the past that he did have his issues towards Ikimoto. I'm sure Ikimoto was not happy with the actions of Izushi joining BGI. But you would think, now, Ikimoto is an amazing fighter, especially when it comes to the UWF rules. Izushi as well, but I feel like Ikimoto has the more experience. And that kind of played out. One thing that was interesting is we did see that Izushi was on the verge of applying an armbar, but somehow Ikimoto was able to escape it and turn it into a leg lock, forcing Izushi to tap out. However, Ishida was unable to help him because he was being detained by Iwamoto. However, they did put out a little promo. I'm sure this feud is going to be very interesting to watch. Now, our next match, this one is a very interesting. I mentioned Shigehiro Irie was dressed up as a woman. Apparently, he looks more like a Japanese cutie anime or something like that. I don't know why, but I thought it was so funny. Apparently, he wasn't the only one. There was, of course, Ryuichi Kawakami. Kawakami. He actually dressed up too, calling himself Beauty Kawakami. And I'm like, oh my god. I'm just can't help it. But their opponents, that was something unique. Now, one of them is Hartley Jackson, calling himself, dressed up as a woman, calling himself Hartley Jaiko. I mean, not bad for a name, but his partner was Michiko, dressed up as a guy. Yeah, you heard me, guys. Dressed up as a guy. So, he called himself Densha Michi Otoko. I'm like, I couldn't stop laughing, guys. I mean, it wasn't because it was funny. I just cannot believe what I was watching. You know, you will probably would think, I'm just making fun of them. No, it's not. It's that I just can't believe that they were doing something that you normally don't see every time. And when it comes to this, but it was so darn funny. I just love it. I just thought it was really interesting and really fun. Not to mention, Kawakami embracing his femininity. He did something that we normally see with Sunny Kiss, and he did that with Michi, and just like that, it was over. I thought it was hilarious. I just loved it, guys. It was just too much. Of course, Kawakami, and of course Shigehiro Hirooki ones. Oh my god, that was so great. Anyway, let's move on. Our next match, we have Kazuma Sakamoto taking on a guy named, I never seen him before, Yukimitsu Takahashi. I don't know who this guy is, but he looks more like a guy dressed up like a Muay Thai fighter. I don't know what was the purpose of this, but I can tell you that this match ended. But I'm not sure exactly if what I thought it was a Shining Wizard by Kazuma, but it ended just like that. Our next match, we have a very interesting tag match. We have Quiet Storm and Arashi taking on Magnitude Kishiwada and Seiki Yoshioka. I thought this was a very interesting match. Now, watching this match, you would think, okay, you got Kuma and Quiet Storm, two of the most biggest individuals. They have the power, they have everything to put these guys down. That's what I would assume that this in this match. However, that wasn't the case because it was Yoshioka who picked up the win when he pinned Kuma Arashi. He was about to do a power bomb, but he turned it into a sunset flip and blammo, 1, 2, 3. Yoshioka and Magnitude Kishiwada actually picked up the win. I was like, wow, not bad. I have to say he'll be doing some remarkable things with the promotion. Now, our next match, this was a very interesting match. We have Issei Onizuka taking on a member of Strong Hearts, and that is Takehito Yamamura. Now, there seems like a bit of a history between those two, if you guys don't know. Those who know this, certain members of Strong Hearts originally came from the promotion Dragon Gate. It seems that this guy, Yamamura, actually was part of that, but he left soon after. And there was like a tensions between both Onizuka and Ishida about him being around. Like Onizuka was trying to prevent him from not interacting with Ishida, but Ishida, his reasons to have a match with them was because they used to be tag partners, but it was more like they tried to settle things. And Onizuka felt the same way too, but he did not want Yamamura to join, of course, Ishida's group. But eventually he ended up with Strong Hearts, and we know Onizuka used to be a member until either he left or they kicked him out. I don't know. But the match was pretty good. I feel like in this match it was more like Onizuka was trying to show his improvements towards Yamamura, and it did when he speared him. And I thought it was a fantastic story to tell. That he has grown up, he has changed a lot, and he's moving on to the next step. So I think that's a good thing to hear. Now, our next match, I think this one is hold on, let's pull up my notes again. Oh yeah, we have a very interesting, something similar with what we saw the guys dress up in women's, but instead of that, they're wearing wrestling masks, which is awesome. We have Tonsho Illumimara, portrayed by Jun Tonsho, Pegaso Illumona by Soma Watanabe, and there's Ramen Taisho, portrayed by Takanori Ito, and then they face off Shiruma, consistent from Shima, Shiru, Kaz Hayashi, and Minoru Tanaka by Minoru Tanaka. So there was like mask versus mask, except for Ito, basically. So I thought it was a real fun match, and not to mention there was a bit of a switcheroo in mask. I thought it was funny, but it was, of course, a frog splash by Pegaso, or should I say Soma, onto Siruma, and just like that, they pick up the win. Now, our main event is a bit of a Strong Hearts showdown between El Lindaman and T-Hawk. Now, don't forget, these two guys are former G-Rex champions. And I think there's always been a bit of a rivalry amongst these two in the past. The show who is the strongest of them all. Now, you'd probably say, couldn't Shima be part of it since they were part of it together? They could, but Shima has more experience than these guys. But it's more like who will be the next generation. El Lindaman, in my opinion, has shown what he can do, even for a guy of his size. But T-Hawk, he's a fantastic wrestler too. I'm not going to lie about that. But this match went all the way, no holds back, nothing. But it was El Lindaman who walked away with a German suplex, and just like that, he won the match. I have to say, this show was pretty awesome. I loved it. I enjoyed it. Hopefully, we'll see more of this, more of these produced shows by Stronghearts. So I think that's pretty much it with GLEAT. I believe it's time for Stardom. Okie dokie. Stardom in Osaka. Now, this took place on the 21st of April. Now, this is only one of their last shows before we head to the All Star Grand Queendom. Now, we will see certain matches that are preludes and all this other stuff, but the only championship match involved is the Goddesses of Stardom. So, we'll get to that. Our opening match, we have, of course, the Cosmic Angels, consistent of the rookies Aya Sakura and Sayaka Kurata, teaming up with Yuna Mizumori and, of course, Tam Nakano. They take on Queen's Quest, Miyu Amasaki, Lady C, Azumi, and, of course, Saya Kamitani. So you would think that there's nothing significant about this particular match. Now, we have seen the rookies in Cosmic Angels, Sakura and Kurata, have excelled. We've seen, of course, with Kurata with her flawless spears that we have witnessed so far and all this. But unfortunately, Kurata ended up on the double stomp foot by none other than Azumi, allowing for Queen's Quest to walk away with the victory. Now, our next match, we have a bit of a three-way match. We have Rian versus Saya Ida versus Saki Kashima. Now, as you know, Kashima, she's a bit of a clever, but a bit of a majority of a trickster. She would try to do what she can to avoid the matches, especially when she doesn't do much of the lead work. So, apparently, she ended up being pinned by Ida. But it doesn't take a genius to figure it out what exactly happened. Is Ida issued a challenge for the high speed belt. I think maybe Kashima probably would accept her for one particular reason, was A, because she's short, and B, I don't think she classifies Ida as a high speedster. But unfortunately, Kamitani, if you guys remember, Kamitani did pin Kashima, and she does have a right for the high speed belt. But unfortunately, they're not the only two who decided to issue the challenge. So is Kashima's old tag partner and current member of Oedo Tai, Fukigen Def. So basically, Kashima decided to turn this into a four-way dance. I don't know if it's stupid or foolish of her, but of course, knowing her, she will try to do whatever it takes to not lose this belt. So we will see what happens. So I'm kind of curious about it. Now, our next match, we have star members Momokogo, Koguma, and Azuki taking on God's Eye, Rana Yagami, Amishori, and Shuri. I have to say this was a pretty good match, but however, what I liked is towards possibly near the end is Yagami. Yagami has shown a lot of improvements. Now, even if the wrestlers like Yagami or Kurara or Sakura they lose their match, but we're seeing a lot of improvements. That shows us that they will in fact have a bright future. And of course, Yagami was one of those wrestlers. She was very impressive when she uh, took on Azuki. But however, Azuki came out as the victor when she applied the senton bomb, and just like that, it was over. But like I said, Yagami, I give her definite plus on this one. Now, our next match, we have Oedo Tai, consistent of Fukigen Def, Raka, Starlight Kid, and Natsuko Tora taking on EXV Hanako, Waka Tsukiyama, Zena, and Mina Shirakawa. But however, last time, Mina Shirakawa did the most stupidest thing ever. She got in the face of Natsuko Tora, telling her if she's jealous because she's a bigger star in overseas. But Natsuko Tora, knowing her or seeing what she is, she doesn't care in the world about things like that. She thinks that, she's better than Natsuko Tora. Natsuko Tora does not like being pestered over something like that. So they immediately made an attack right away to teach her a lesson not to piss her off. I mean, you can say Mina it maybe has excelled a lot, but the fact remain she should have known better not to pester Natsuko Tora. And of course, with their usual tactics, they took them outside the ring, beating the crap out of them. That's exactly what happened. But however, it was Ruka with the box onto Hanako that allowed her to pick up the match. And then, of course, Natsuko Tora got into Mina's head by doing her infamous pose, and she kicked her. But at the same time, I think Natsuko Tora really, really got into her head. And it was later foretold that they will tango at the All Star Grand Queendom. So we'll see how that rolls up from that anyway. So I'm looking forward to it. Now, for fun, if you guys know this, mostly the rookies are the ones that are cleaning the ring. We see, of course, Sayaka Kurata adjusting the ring ropes for each of the corners of the ring, and of course Rianne and Aya Sakura were cleaning the ring themselves. Sometimes they like to display what they can do in their job, its task, but it's fun to see that. Now, our next match is a bit of a prelude before we head to the All Star Queendom. Hanan, Natsupoi, and Momo Watanabe, they team up to take on Sayori Inui, Mayu Iwatani, and Maika. Now, if you notice, Sayori, Mayu, and of course Maika are three of the champions. Maika, the red belt champion, Sayori, the white belt champion, and Mayu, the IWGP Women's Champion. And of course, Hanan is already making the play for the white belt and Momo for the red. But what does Natsupoi have to do with this? Well, I like to say that she's probably there to represent her BFF, Sari, who is facing for the IWGP Women's title. So that is something we could expect. But however, we did see certain teamwork between Mayu and Hanan, and of course, same thing with Sayuri and Natsupoi. But however, Natsupoi and Sayuri are not afraid to throw down against each other. You can say they're like frenemies in some capacity. But however, the most focus of this match was Momo against Maika. Now, Momo considers Maika, as, pardon my language, as a shitty champion. She thinks that someone like Maika does not deserve to be the red belt champion. But however, unfortunately, this match ended in a time limit draw after 20 minutes. But all hell broke loose. So we'll see what happens in 10. But there was a moment where, of course, Natsupoi grabbed the New Blood tag team belts, and she was talking to Aya Sakura, her junior, about how she feels about grabbing this belt. And of course, Ida did not like that. But, I mean, it could happen. I mean, there's talk that it could be a possibility of her teaming with Yuna Mizumori, but I wouldn't be surprised if Natsupoi teams up with her. But who knows? We'll see what happens. Now, our main event is for the Goddesses of Stardom tag team titles. We have Prominence, Kurumi Hiragi, and Risa Sera taking on Crazy Star, Mei Sita, and Zuzu Suzuki. Now, don't forget, folks, Zuzu used to be a member of Prominence until she made the choice to leave last year, which was unexpected, but she did vowed that she wants to be the face of pro wrestling, and Julia asked her to do not give up becoming the face of pro wrestling. And of course, we could see that in the future some point, and we're going to see that. But however, this was a big challenge for both the Zuzu and Mei Sita. We have seen those two have grown significantly, and of course, not being involved in any faction, they have shown how strong they really were. But in the end, it was a German suplex by Zuzu to Hiragi to pick up the win and retain the belts. And of course, Zuzu told her that they're always welcome to come back for another shot of the belts. And of course, Risa Sera told her, I'll see you soon. However, while that happened, FWC, more consistently, Koguma and Azuki, the two-time tag champions, who initially had no plans of challenging for these belts, Well, they came out, issued their challenge for the belts, and turned out they were not the only ones. So was O2 Line, consisting of Miyu Amasaki and Azumi, and then, of course, a young EOED, consisting of Ruaka and Starlight Kid. So this is a very interesting thing. Now, the obvious question how it is going to play out, knowing Zuzu, she probably would say, let's turn this into a four-way dance. And it seems like it's going to happen. So one team will walk out as the tag champions, but we'll see where that leads us from here on out. So I think that's pretty much it what we have with Stardom. I believe it's time to move on with our last and final review, and that is New Japan Pro Wrestling. Okay, New Japan Pro Wrestling with Road to Wrestling Dondaku. This is their latest start of the tour. We got a long way to go until we get there. Now, our opening match, we have the members of Bullet Club, consisting of Taiji Shimuri, Chase Owens, and Kenta, taking on Katsuya Murashima and our current IWGP Tag Champions, Bishamon. Now, it doesn't take a genius to figure out that, of course, Chase Owens and Kenta will love nothing more than get their tag belts back. That will be probably their how do I say, their objective is to get them back, which of course they lost to them. But however, in this case, it was the bone lock by Ishimori to Murashima that pick up the win. But sooner or later, of course, Bishamon may have to confront Kenta and Chase Owens once again in the near future. Now, our next match, we have Shoma Kota teaming up with the guys from GOD, consisting of Yato, El Fantasma and Hikuleo, taking on, of course, TMDK, consisting of Kosei Fujita, Zack Sabre Jr., and, of course, our current New Japan Strong Openweight Tag Team Champions, Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste. So, of course, there was going to be something like this that was going to happen. However, this match ended with, of course, um, Kota being in a Boston Crab by none other than the Ichiban Sweet Boy, Kosei Fujita. That kind of plays out pretty well. Now, however, our next match, we have a very interesting one. We have the House of Torture, the most hated group on this planet. Dick Togo, Yoshinori Kanemaru, Yujiro Takahashi, Ren Narita, and Evil. Well, Sho's not there, who's going ballistic because he wants the IWGP Junior Heavyweight title back from Doiki. However, they will face, of course, Shota Umino, Tomohiro Ishii, Bolton Oleg, Toru Yano, and, of course, Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, Evil comes out wearing the shirt that says President Evil. He thinks that Tanahashi has the abuses power because they could not win the never openweight six-man tag champions. Of course, on a note here, Bolton Oleg has officially graduated as a young lion, so he is no longer that. It's only a matter of time until he gets brand new gear. But the only reason that he graduated was because he is now 1/3 of the the never openweight six-man tag team champions. However, as always with House of Torture, with their usual tricks and tactics, they walked away with the win when, of course, FN Yujiro decided to use that cane and use it on Oleg, and it was Kanemaru who picked up the win. But it was foretold that they will be challenging for those belts. So Evil will stop at nothing to get those tag belts no matter what. Now, our next match, we have the feud between the Bullet Club War Dogs, consisting of Ghetto, Joe Maloney, Clark Connors, Gabe Kidd, and David Finlay, taking on LIJ's Hiromu, Bushi, Yoda Tsuji, Shingo Takagi, and Tetsuya Naito. Now, this war began for many reasons. One, David Finlay blames, of course, Yoda Tsuji for believing that he squandered his win away while he's unable to beat Tetsuya Naito. So he thinks it should have been him, that he would not lose the belt. But however, things got out of hand. No matter what happens, the War Dogs will do whatever it takes. We do know that Gabe Kidd will face against Shingo, but however, it was Hiromu with a submission on Geto that allowed them to pick up the win. So we're going to see more of that. Now, our main event is an elimination match between, of course, Just Five Guys and United Empire in a faction warfare gauntlet match. So basically, let me pull that up real quick for all of you because this one is really fantastic. Because I did not put this on my notes because there was not enough room. Okay. We opened up with, of course, Yuya Uemura and Great Khan. As you know, those two will face each other. Khan will put his KOPW title on the line against Uemura. However, that match ended in a time limit draw, so basically it just ended like that. Then we have, of course, Jeff Cobb versus Sonata. This one also ended in a 10-minute time limit draw. Then we have Cal Newman taking on Taka Michinoku, but it was Newman who picked up the win by pinning, of course, Taka Michinoku. And then we have Doiki taking on Newman. He actually submitted him, and it was over right from there. And then, of course, Doki somehow was able to eliminate Francisco Akira in the next gauntlet. And then it was TJP and Doiki, but it was TJP who pinned him. And then, of course, it led to TJP and, of course, Tai Chi. But it took a lot more effort on that match because TJP did everything that he possibly could. But, however, he applied a move that is mostly common, but not much, how to say, let's just say they use that as a way to use it as a resort, which is the inside cradle, allowing for TJP to pick up the win for United Empire. However, because of this win, this allowed for Khan to finally make his decision. He realized that United Empire needs someone to take the helm, and he declared now TJP as the captain, knowing that even though Will Ospreay is gone, someone has to lead them. And TJP, who volunteered, decided to do so. So everybody were on an agreement. TJP, who's willing to step up the game, he is now the guy leading the group. So we'll see how things will progress now with United Empire. I think that's pretty much it. We do have another Wrestling Dondaku after this one. That will be on the next episode. But as right now, let's move on with our last and final thing, news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. Now, let's begin with updates with the promotions on their upcoming events. Let's begin with GCW. They have a bunch of them so far, well, 4 of them. On May 3rd, for the Rather You Than Me event, they announced that the GCW World Title will be defended. Blake Christian will face against. He's very nice and very evil. Then, of course, on the 18th of May, we have The Most Dangerous in Philadelphia. They announced that Tasha Steelz will be making her appearance. And then there, of course, on the 25th of May, we have Take a Picture. Kylie Ray will be making her return to GCW. It's great to see her. And then finally, on June 1st, the Tournament Survival 9. They announced for the 6th entrant, that will be Ultra Mantis Black. I don't know who this guy is, but yes, he's involved. Now it's been decided. Now, I haven't seen Pro Wrestling Noah's recent Monday Magic show. It was announced that we have a number 1 contender who will be facing Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. at Wrestle Magic at May 4th, and that is none other than Kaito Kiyomiya. Now, Miya has been trying to get back on top again ever since losing the belt. So I'm looking forward to it. Once I see Monday Magic, then I'll do that. Now, Prestige Wrestling has announced for the Alive or Just Breeding event on the 16th of May. Galeno de Mal will be in action to take on Jeff Cobb. Then Deadlock Pro Wrestling DPW Limit Break that happens on the 19th of May. The DPW World Title will be defended. Calvin Techman defends his belt against Kevin Koo. And then finally, a very interesting development. GLEAT has announced that there is going to be a debut from a former WWE superstars. We're talking about MXM, Mansoor, and of course Mason Maiden. So they will be making their debut for the version Access. So I'm looking forward to that. Now let's move on to some of the developments that are going on. Says Kamitani was in Tokyo Sports today, and she just immediately announced that she will be no longer using the Phoenix Splash. Now I know what you guys are thinking. Does this have something to do with Mina? No. Apparently, Kamitani kind of explained it that this was something different from that. Now we know she wasn't intending to use the Phoenix Splash after what happened with Mina, but this is what she had to say. To explain her decision, Saya revealed that she injured her shoulder before the match at the All Star Queendom in 2023 while practicing the Phoenix Splash, which is why she taped it up during the match. After the comeback from her elbow injury, Kamitani had the pain in her shoulder, went to the hospital where she was diagnosed with dislocated shoulder. 2 or 3 of ligaments were torn. She says that she always wanted to become a high flyer, but she exceeded her limits and her body was failing. So it appears that she's well aware that she can no longer do things. I think this is something that we often talk about. If you guys remember, Ricochet had that same kind of feeling too. If you guys remember, he did ask Jericho permission if it was okay to do the code break, because it was like a simple move for him to use. And of course, Jericho said yes because he understands that Ricochet's body is failing him too. He cannot do the high flying that much anymore. But it's great that Kamitani is well aware about her own well being, that the she has limits and it finally reached it. So we'll see what happens. Um, Finn Balor was again on the news today. It was told that his contract with WWE was about to expire, but it was now foretold that he has re-signed with WWE, so we'll be seeing him more often there. PW Insider revealed that Jacob Fatu will be making his WWE debut next week, and we are being told that this will blow your minds away. So we'll see how that rolls up. Now, Giulia once again has been very active and very talkative about certain subjects. The first one is, of course, Suri, about her saying she's going to teach her a real fighting. And this is what Giulia had to say. Suri, I hear where you're going to teach me real fighting, right? If you're going to tell me people that they don't know real fighting, for God's sake, don't bring your grandma's necklace. Whew. If you guys know what that means at the end, that means she's talking about that necklace that she wore while she was in NXT. So we'll see what happens after that. And then, of course, they ask her about her the match that she's gonna have with before her against Mayu for the belt. And this is what she has said: I don't care which one wins the IWGP belt. If you lose before you fight me, I won't forgive you. Yep. And then, of course, Giulia talked about something interesting. As you know, with the promotion, Mighty Gold has been launched. Giulia revealed that there were certain wrestlers that encouraged Rossi to build this promotion, but unfortunately, there was more to it. This is what she had to say about that. Ever since he was in Stardom, Ogawa-san was always said that a rival promotion was needed. He laughed and said that since it isn't coming easily, he had no choice but to create one himself. But after the many twists and turns, Ogawa-san actually created the new promotion, and it wasn't from me either. But the people around him encouraged him and said, "Ogawa-san, let's do it." Well, none of those people who started the fire came to Mighty Gold. Still, Ogawa took action for the sake to create a promotion that could rival Stardom. It is such interesting, old man. We have no choice but to respond to that, right? So it makes me wonder who was those people that decided not to show up. I mean, they encouraged Rossi to do it, but never did. But yes. Hirooki Goto took also on a blog talking about the IWGP World Heavyweight title. He had something to say about Moxley. Moxley already named as challenger, but isn't me. You're supposed to be fighting. You may forget, didn't, but I didn't. I got a clean win over you in the G1, and I'm the man who beat the current champion. And that fact will stay with you until you fight me and beat me. You know, he does make a fantastic point. He did beat him once before, so that means by technicality, he should be able to get a shot of that belt. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case. So, hopefully, at some point, Goto will have to confront Moxley and ask for this match. So, we'll see what happens until then. But as of right now, I think we are done with all reviews. So, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, as you know, we have NXT Spring Break-In. I think this is a 2-week event, so we'll be seeing what happens here. And then, of course, we got more with New Japan Pro Wrestling with Road to Dondaku Wrestling Dondaku. So I believe we have, of course, the war between the War Dogs and, of course, LIJ. And then I think the never openweight 6-man tag team titles are on the line. But we'll see what happens until then. There's still some wrestling shows I haven't checked out yet. I'm behind on the Collective and GCW, All Japan, and Noah. So I'm going to do the best as my ability to catch up with all those, and hopefully we're done with it. But as of right now, I think that's pretty much it, what I'm giving you guys for now. Until then, I will say this. I will see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. And have a nice day. Bang.